Welcome to my channel. My name is Yasmin, for those of you who are new here, and my channel really centers around living a healthy and balanced lifestyle. I'm all about encouraging you to incorporate activities such as working out, meditating, taking care of your body and your mind in order to live a really happy and healthy life. So if this is something that interests you, please hit that subscribe button down below and join me on this journey. Today I want to talk about the 6 books that I feel changed my life. I read a lot as a kid and then eventually got to a point where I didn't read at all anymore, and that was the case for many years. And then recently, a couple years ago, I started to read again. And since that point, I have read some really powerful books that I feel have completely transformed me and my outlook on life, my perspective. I'm a firm believer that life is all a matter of perspective, and I fully believe that books have the ability to transform our perspective. So therefore, they have the ability to transform our lives. And a little tip before I get started on how to incorporate reading into your life. I know we all are very busy, and reading has become something that I feel people don't do as much, don't appreciate as much as we used to, especially with technology and how we can find pretty much everything, including these books, on our phones. But I feel like there's so much power and beauty in picking up a physical book and turning the pages and reading in that way. So some tips I have for you on how you can kind of make that a part of your life is get a library card. It can be really costly to be buying all these books, and it can be wasteful too if you're only planning to read them once. So it makes a lot of sense to get a library card, which is free, and take advantage of the insane amount of books that are available to us for free in a public library. And when it comes to making time for reading, just like anything else, I think it's a matter of taking into consideration how you spend your free time every day and considering where you could squeeze in 10-15 minutes of reading. I've developed the habit now of reading at night before bed. I find that it's a really nice way to end the day and kind of wind down that isn't scrolling through your phone. So that is a great time of the day to kind of incorporate some reading. Otherwise, morning time can be a really nice time to read. I think it's just a matter of making a point to find where you can fit that into your day and doing it and experiencing the benefits that will come as a result of that. So the first book that I feel changed my life and that I would recommend to all of you is called The Defining Decade. I read this book several years ago when I had just turned 21, and I was at a point in life where I had taken a couple years off from college, didn't fully know where I was headed in life, and was feeling very overwhelmed with all the different possibilities and not really knowing what to do and what to put my time into. And in this book, she calls it The Defining Decade because it's aimed at people in their 20s, and she talks all about how the ways in which we spend our time when we're at this point in life and who we're around and what we're doing really impacts us and impacts our brain formation. And so she's all about encouraging people who are at this point in life in their 20s, any point in their 20s, to do the things that are calling them. Take the trips, go back to school, apply for a job that you don't necessarily feel qualified for, ask a person out on a date that you have an interest in. Just push yourself to overcome the boundaries that you have set for yourself and really explore how far you can go and what you can really achieve. So this book really inspired me to go back to school and to just kind of not spend so much time overthinking decisions and just make them and change my mind if I want and do something else, but not get so stuck in trying to figure out what to do. The second book that I feel has absolutely changed my life in many ways is called Many Masters, Many Lives. This is a book that I read, I would say, before I got to a point where I was really in touch with my spirituality. It absolutely blew my mind and completely transformed how I view life, and to this day I'm very impacted by the journey that reading this book set me on. It's essentially about a woman who is struggling with severe anxiety and all these issues, and she starts to see a psychiatrist who, in an attempt to help her, accidentally kind of takes her on this journey of reliving experiences from past lives. So this book opened my eyes to the concept of reincarnation. That alone really transformed my perspective on life, and I definitely recommend this book for honestly anyone, but especially anyone who is kind of wanting to explore spirituality more and understand more about the concept of reincarnation. The third book that I would definitely recommend and that I feel changed my life in many ways is Choose Wonder Over Worry. I'll list these books in the description so that people can look to that if you're interested in finding these books for yourself. But Choose Wonder Over Worry is, well, the title is pretty descriptive. It's all about anxieties and worry and how much that can control us and can control our lives, and how to tweak our minds so that we're seeing life in a hopeful way instead of in a dark, anxiety-inducing way. So this was very powerful for me. Definitely recommend for anyone who struggles with anxiety, overthinking, just your mind doing you harm because of how you view and experience the world around you. Another book that I highly recommend and that changed my life is called Dying to Be Me, and this one is very powerful. It's about a woman's experience with getting diagnosed with cancer and having it get to a very serious, extreme stage, and she essentially dies and describes her experience with death and then comes back to life. So she essentially has a near-death experience, and that completely changes her life and her perspective and everything. And reading the book changed my life and my perspective. I think death is something that as humans we tend to be very uncomfortable with and afraid of, and I think reading a book that explores it so deeply and so in your face, in a sense, can be very powerful, because unexamined, our fear of death can really control us and limit us and impact our lives in so many ways. So I think if there's anything that's doing that to us, we would benefit greatly from exploring it and overcoming our fears and anxieties around that topic. The fifth book that I feel has definitely transformed my life and that I just finished reading actually is called Loving What Is. This one is a powerful one too. It threw me off at first. It took me a little while to get into this one. I think with a lot of books I've realized in my experience that you have to give them a chance. You have to kind of warm up to them and not judge them by their cover or by the first chapter even. But this book is actually very powerful and definitely impacted my life. She talks all about accepting reality for what it is and not being fixated on changing yourself, your environment, the people around you, and kind of just accepting them and loving them for what they are. She definitely isn't teaching us to not want more for our lives and not want to change things, but she's very adamant about accepting reality for what it is and kind of living in the present moment, because we can very easily spend an entire lifetime lost in the past or the future and not living in the present moment and not loving what's right in front of us, and that is not really a life lived because we miss out on the beauty that is all around us right now. So this definitely impacted me. I think about it all the time in my encounters with people, family members, when they annoy me and I wish they did things differently. I kind of reflect on this book and it inspires me to want to change the tendency to wish people were different or wish things were different. So powerful book for sure, and definitely one that I wanted to add to this list. And the final book on this list is one that I'm currently reading, and it's called Developing Intuition. This is a very powerful book because I feel like in my personal life, I'm becoming more intuitive. We all have this intuition within us that we're just disconnected from. And I, again, with making big decisions, as I was talking about earlier in this video, I get overwhelmed and I kind of stop myself in my tracks because I overthink them, and I get all this anxiety about figuring out what to do with my life, what step to take, and it can be very debilitating. And so I feel like there's so much power in developing our intuition and using that as kind of a guiding factor, because we ultimately know what's right for us in a given situation. We ultimately know which steps we should take and where we should go in terms of the direction of our lives. And I think it's a very powerful tool that we have within us, our intuition. And so I definitely want to make a point to connect with it more and learn how to use that as a tool in life when I'm trying to make decisions on a day-to-day basis, and especially with big life decisions. And I think everyone, since we're all ultimately intuitive, everyone can benefit from harnessing those skills. So this book was created for that purpose, to help people do that, and I definitely think it's a good book for anyone to read who is also interested in developing their intuition. So that's that. Those are all the books that I would recommend to anyone who wants to really transform themselves and transform their lives and their perspective on life. So again, I will include the names of all of these and the authors in the description, and I highly recommend you, one, start reading if that's not a part of your life right now, and two, give these books a try because they truly are very powerful. Thank you so much for checking out this video and spending some time with me today. I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if you have any feedback you want to give me. If you've read any of these books, I would love to hear about your experience with them. Like this video if it resonated with you, and I will see you soon.